Hey guys, gonna take a couple of minutes tonight to show you a little bit about how to do the next step of your research paper, which is taking notes. So I'm going to share the screen here, show you a couple of things. We're gonna start off as usual with this slide. All right, so this has all the links and information you need. Obviously, this is where you found the link to the screencast. It's got your due date right here, which is Sunday night. It's got links to the instructions, the sample, and the Schoology assignment, which I will show you. So first of all, the instructions. Here we are. This is kind of a basic overview of what you're doing. The first thing you got to do is read your sources. Like, on one hand, that seems really obvious, but obviously in order to take notes on things, you have to have actually read them. So the first step is making sure that your sources have useful information that answer your research question, and then highlight any useful information that you might want to use. You can highlight it right in the source doc, especially if you saved it to Google Drive. The one thing that I will add that's kind of not on here is if you change sources, you got to add it to your Works Cited page. Like if you decide to not use one and now you're using a different one, that's fine, but you have to update your Works Cited page. All right, so then what you're going to be doing is you're highlighting the useful information. Useful information is stuff that answers your research questions from your doc, and then you're going to sort of pull all of that together into one sort of note sheet. So you're looking for direct quotes. That's word for word quotes from your sources. These are the ones that you might use in your paper. You won't necessarily use all of them. You can't possibly use that many quotes, but we're asking you to find potentials. Make sure that these are like no more than 5 lines each. There's no sense in pulling out like entire paragraphs from your sources, because that's just way too much information. Make sure that these are like a sentence or 2. You're looking for at least 10 quotes total. All right, 3 of them are going to be from each of your 3 sources. One of them, you can have a source that has 4 of them to come up with the 10. If you've got 4 sources, you might need to take 2 from one and 3 from another or something like that. The quotes that you pull have to be complete sentences. You can't just pull out a couple of words here and there, or it's not going to make any sense. Pull out the whole sentence. Later, you might only use part of it, but for right now, we want all of it. Make sure you record the quotes exactly as they're written in the source. We want to make sure that we keep the author's wording the way it is. Copying and pasting, since you're doing this all digitally, copying and pasting is your best bet. Each quote is going to include a parenthetical citation for MLA, which we'll talk about momentarily. And finally, and this is in big letters. In fact, I'm going to highlight this. Don't quote a source quoting somebody else. So a lot of times in a newspaper article or whatever, they will pull in other experts and they'll have things that are already in quotes. We want to be careful about that as we do this, because that would need to be cited differently, and because it's not really the author of the text that said it, and blah, 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 blah. So my suggestion is just stick to something from the actual source that the author said, that they're not quoting someone else from, right? Now, next up is parenthetical citation. So parenthetical means this. It's in parentheses. That's what parenthetical means. You may have heard of these as called in-text citations. But what in-text citations do is they basically, within your paper, they point your reader to the source that it came from. And then the reader can find that source on your Works Cited page and then be able to find that source. So we have to make sure that the parenthetical citations are there and that they're matching up with your Works Cited page. And these are going to be really simple. So the first thing you need to know is that they have a period after them, and the citation comes at the end of the sentence. Even if your quote's in the middle of the sentence, the citation comes at the end. And this is going to be really simple. So for databases, there's no page numbers because it's electronic. So literally all you need is the author's last name. For example, Smith, in parentheses, with a period at the end. That's it. If you have a source by 2 authors, then it would look like this. Same setup, but you've got Smith and Jones. Easy enough. If you have no author, and some of you might be in this boat, you're going to look for the first important word of the title. And since it's in quotation marks in the title, it's going to go in quotation marks here, so it would look like this one. So if our article started with the words, title started with the word safety, the word safety would go in quotation marks in the parentheses. That's it. All right. Big bold letters down here, how to punctuate it. If your quote ends with a period, it's a complete sentence, whatever. There is no punctuation here. You have a space, then your citation, then a period at the end. If your quote ends with a question or an exclamation point, in that case, you put the mark there, and then you put the period out here. That's it. All right. So when you, first of all, when you click out here, it's going to take you to the notes sample. That's actually the same doc that I'm about to show you, and it's the same one that's attached to your Schoology assignment. So if you go to your Schoology assignment, which is on your calendar, it's going to take you out. This is what your My Doc is going to look like, and it's going to look like this. Right? And this is basically a template setup, what you're going to have to do to set up your notes. You're going to type in your name, your course, my name, and the day, month, year. You can leave notes there, and then you'll see there's space here for 10 quotes. All you're going to do is you're going to put your quotes in here, and then you're going to change your citation. So for example, I've pulled up a source over here on, on Destiny. And let's just say this was on my Works Cited page. It's by Paul Shark. It's from Mechanical Engineering, Volume 25, 125, Issue 3, blah, blah, blah. And I've read this source, and it's about safety, having to do with smart cars. And I have identified this quote that I might want to use in my paper. It says, using a highway simulation model, they found motorists tend to overcompensate for slowing traffic ahead. The model indicated that 10% of the cars fitted with driver's assistance would reduce the problem by eliminating excessive braking. So this is an example of how driverless cars, how self-driving cars can help with traffic problems. So I'm going to copy that from here, and I'm going to go over, and I'm going to highlight this space, and I'm going to paste it in. One key trick here is to paste without formatting. What that's going to do is it's going to make it match the formatting in here. Otherwise, if I just paste it in, like it changes the font and it makes it big and blah, 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 blah. So if you use this paste without formatting, it'll match the format over here. I need to remove this period right here because there obviously was one at the end of the sentence. But because my citation comes after it, I don't put it there. My citation, in this case, what did I find the guy's name was? Shark. And if I look over here, it tells me that for databases, it's just the author's last name in parentheses. So I'm going to type in Shark, and then I can unhighlight this because there it is. And then one of my 10 notes is done. Okay. And that's it. The biggest thing I would say to make sure that the notes you're copying are useful. Make sure they answer your research question, and make sure that the sources you're pulling from are actually on your Works Cited page. If they're not, you can add them. It'll put you in suggestion mode, but you can add them. And then double check that you are not quoting a source. You've got your parenthetical citations correct, and they are, and they're punctuated correctly. That's it. Good luck.